Hi, I'm Mike with the Daily BM. On this episode, we have a very special guest, Brandon Mancine, a personal coach who's going to share with us the knowledge and wisdom that he's gained over 2 decades of being in the industry. I hope you enjoy and like and subscribe. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, fuckers, and welcome to another day at the Daily BM. Mikey is in the house. What is going on, brother?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm going to be happy about this one.
Yeah? Why? Why are you so happy? You're usually pissed off.
Because I don't have to just talk to you.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
we have a guest. We have a guest today.
Oh, we do. Who's our guest today?
Oh, you're supposed to introduce himself.
Oh, am I? Oh, okay, I didn't know if you were doing it or I was doing it or whatever. Yeah, well, whatever.
We just went over this.
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't play by the rules. You know that shit. Come on, damn.
Sorry, everybody. Brad's getting short of memory loss.
Where were we? Anyway, we have fitness guru Brandon Mancine with us. What's going on, Brandon?
Not much, fellas. How are you?
Pretty good. I really want to say, let's go, Brandon.
I've never heard that before. That's
no, I'm sure you never have.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
I've got a really large support team in the past couple of years. Yeah, it's just
everywhere I go, they just chant my name. I don't know why.
Oh my God, that's so cool! Like literally, like next time we're at an event and I see you, I'm gonna get everybody "Let's Go Brandon" t-shirts. We can all just wear them.
They're easy to find now.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. They're everywhere.
The last 12 years or so, we've had this Memorial Day tradition with a bunch of guys I was in the Marines with. They all come down to San Antonio and we float the rivers, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's this certain parts along the river where people just camp out. They put up their little tents and stuff like that. And yeah, there were a lot of "Let's Go Brandon" flags. Everybody was happy I was out there floating the river with my buddies from the Marines. So yeah, great day.
Let's go, Brandon.
Brandon, that would be the most awesome t-shirt for you to make for like your personal training sessions to give to your clients. You just have a "Let's Go Brandon" with your face in the dead center of it.
No. This is all let's just say. It says, "I'm going."
It just says Brandon on the bottom.
Yeah, that way when you walk in, it's just like, man. "I'm going." Everybody's like, "Let's go, Brandon." You're like, "I'm going."
I have had a few clients buy me "Let's Go Brandon" t-shirts. So
I bet.
Yeah, but I'm going.
It's probably not even funny anymore. It's probably not even funny anymore. Actually, it's probably got worn out. No, like, I haven't heard that one before. Way to be original, guy. And that's why we're a C-list podcast right here, because we have great content.
or
Brandon just gives them this chair.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you guys are C-list? Oh, shit. I got to go. I had something
C-list.
pop up.
Yeah, we'll see you later. We'll catch you on the flip side. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Don't forget to head over. No.
On this episode, I get turned down just like every day in life.
Dude, more and more I look at Brandon, the more he looks
rejection.
Like Wolverine, bro. I swear to God, every time I see him, he looks like Wolverine.
I'm sure he doesn't hear that a lot either.
I know, but he just does, man. It's like super cool.
So I appreciate that. I can't believe this actually happened. I got stopped in an airport one time.
Right.
Someone asked if I was. They thought I was Hugh Jackman. I was like,
nice.
Come on, you're kidding me. Like,
did you lie?
But yes, that actually happened. I should have. My wife was with me. If she wasn't with me, I probably yeah, sure.
Yeah, mate, I sure am. You start talking Australian, sure am, man. Cheers.
I'm not like Brad. I don't have the vocal talent you do. I can't pull accents, man.
No, Jesus, yeah.
I don't know. I do kind of a horrible job, except for Cartman, maybe from time to time. But I had Brandon laughing.
I've heard it's spot on. That. Yeah, I was. Everyone was rolling at the uprising when you busted out Cartman.
Those are good times, man. Did you really enjoy the Utah trip? Speaking of which, before we start diving into stuff.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. Very, very glad I went. Learned some stuff there. It's the best thing is with these events like this, it's always the relationships. Getting actually, we talked a bit beforehand, but getting to actually meet you guys, hang out with you.
Yeah.
Meeting, Trevor, John, and, Ryan and Kip as well, obviously, but
Right.
the whole cadre. Yeah. I mean, it's always worth it,
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah, man. I just, speaking of Trevor, that guy is just a phenom.
Yeah. Yeah. So
was just
the
insane.
jiu-jitsu day, dude, I had 55 pounds on him and he manhandled me for 60 minutes. Like,
Mhm.
you want to talk about a humbling experience, man. That was, yeah.
Yeah, I know,
And
right?
then he has an innate talent. I was working out a couple of days ago and I was doing intervals, and like I was on interval number 7, and I would 6 to 8 is what I look for in this specific workout. And I finished 7. I was like, all right, I think I'm done. And a text comes across from Trevor, and it was just a picture of when we were on the hike. Right. And it was just like, thought this was a badass picture, man. Hope you're having a great day. And I was like, fuck, okay. All right. I got to do this last interval now. Like, it just comes in at the perfect time. Like, all right.
Just some motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. Trevor's out there calling me a bitch.
Yeah, I know, right? In a nonchalant way.
He sends a disturbance in the force. He's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
about to give up. Text, send it just in time.
Yep.
He's like Yoda. I see Trevor. I see Brandon is not.
Yeah, I was glad Trevor was on our team. So
I know.
So.
I would have just like shook his hand and said, "You win." Walked away. That would have been me.
Well, what was great about it?
Go ahead.
He was doing everything from a teaching aspect, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Like whatever moves we were trying, whatever Kip was covering, he would like he would resist enough where I could get in there and get it done and learn the move. And then I'd ask a question like, okay, like, what do you do to defend against this? And then like with such ease, he'd be like, well, if I see you're trying to do that, I come this way, and like just completely fold me over in a different direction. I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah. Again, just humbling, man. Yeah. Trevor, if you're listening, you're a badass dude.
Yeah, he really is a badass. He seriously is. But my favorite part of that trip was watching Mike's facial expression coming out of the bathroom during the jiu-jitsu. Mike's facial expression was priceless. So Mike's in there using the bathroom, washing his hands. He's like in a great mood. He's smiling when he goes in. He looks at me, goes right on in. He comes out. Brandon's sitting on the mat, and Mike's facial expression dropped. Like, fuck, am I going up against him? Are you shitting me right now?
Well, I think we just found the promo clip for the show. Is Brad saying, my favorite part was Mike's facial expression coming out of the bathroom.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
But it was so true, man. But then I was proud of him. I told him afterward. I was like, because our teammates, Brandon, because I was on your team, thank God. But our teammates were like, they looked and turned their head at me because I go, come on, Mike, like that, because you guys were going toe to toe in that first round.
Yeah,
that was my boy, man. I was sticking up for my boy.
I get it.
And I went, I just looked at him. I go, sorry. Come on, Brandon. I had to make up.
Well, if it's any consolation, and I'm sure you remember, when you're in there, you don't hear anything anyone else is saying.
No,
it's just you're just focused on the other guy.
Yeah.
I just all I heard was like Trevor going, just turn him around. Just turn him around. I'm like, turn who around and what? I don't even know where I'm at now. Like, I don't even know where Brandon's at. Like, I don't know if I'm north, south. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on right now.
So jiu-jitsu was completely foreign to me. I was a boxer when I was younger. So, and I love ultimate fighting. I love all the combat sports. Like, that's pretty much the only sports I really watch anymore. But I do remember there was, I was exhausted moving into our match, and I don't know about you, but that was my first match, and I was spending too much energy. Right, I was just tense the whole time, and then the guys that went after us, John and the other guy's name Brad too. There was 1 or 2 matches after us. They went and they were more seasoned practitioners.
Might have been Jason. I think it was Jason that went with him. I'm not
John
sure.
And I can't remember the other guy's name, but it was just Like they were kind of active the whole time.
Yeah,
it was
they
a
were
great
relaxed,
match to watch. And they were relaxed.
Relaxed,
and so
yeah.
I ended up having a couple more matches after that. And I just remember thinking, stay relaxed, stay relaxed. And there was a time when John, who was on my team as well, he was like, he kept saying, move in a tactical mount, move in a tactical mount. And I just remember going, I don't know what that means. Like,
yeah.
I have no idea what you're saying. Like, I'm holding on to this guy for dear life, trying to get my arm around his neck because I know that's one of the moves. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I had back in 2016, I had like 5 classes of jiu-jitsu back in like 2016, but all 5 classes was basically just like that, exactly like that, like just trying to survive for like 15 minutes. Like there was like no remembering any of the moves, like none of the positions. It was just like sheer survival. Like just like I just want to keep breathing. That's all I want to do. Like just stay conscious and keep breathing. And I gassed myself out too. And then that second one, I didn't have much left in me. And then I was just like, I don't want to get hurt. That was my biggest thing. I was like, I don't want to walk away here with a broken elbow or broken kneecap.
So I remember wrestling 3 times. I think I got a shoulder to the face pretty hard in one of them.
You did, yeah.
I ended up with it. Yeah, I think I had a concussion because.
Oh Jesus!
They told me I wrestled 4, but I don't remember 4 matches. So.
Oh shit!
Who knows? It was.
Who knows? I wasn't ever here.
We'll see when the pictures come back.
Yeah. I just know I was seriously impressed with Kip. Just how he was kind of like Trevor, just so fluid in the things that they do. Like when he was like taking on Ryan, I was just like, damn, because he's kind of a tall,
Trevor,
guy.
You mean Kip? Oh, I don't think Kip. Did Kip?
Kip. That's right. It was Trevor and Ryan. It was
Trevor and Ryan. Yeah,
but they're both. I mean, they're both were very fluid, but just Trevor, man, he was just phenomenal. But even Kip,
it's just
no Ryan to sleep.
Yeah,
he'll never let him live that one down. He's like, I saw him tap.
He tapped, and then I remember just watching him like kind of fall to the side, and
then he was like flopping around.
It seemed like he was like brushing something away on the mat. Kip's like, hey.
I had a guy when we were just doing warm-ups because I was really watching my knee. Thank God, because I do have a meniscus tear. It's torn, so I got to go have surgery on it. I come to find out, I was going to tell you about that, Brandon, on another time, but fuck it, I'll do it now. So anyway, I had a big guy. He was like 280. 6'2", and I had this big guy. I'm like a small dude, I'm small.
You're like 4'6", like 125.
Yeah, I look like his son. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, dude. So I asked Kip. I go. How? I said I can't even get my damn arms around him. I was like around his neck. I was like, he's just so wide. How the fuck do you do it? So Kip walks up to me and he goes, "Here, man, turn around." And he goes, "This is what you do to big guys." And he puts this hold around my jawline and just barely presses, dude. And I felt like he was going to break my jaw. I mean, that's how much force. I mean, little force he put on it.
Were you paired up with Mike?
It was Big.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's a big dude, man. I mean, he's a big guy. So I was just like, all right, man, I'll take the opportunity just to kind of learn what I was listening from Kip during the instructions, him and Ryan, and just kind of show him, because he was like full, like stressed and panicked through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then when he got into his fight, he did better when he got into his match. So it was really cool to watch. So it was fun.
Yeah, man, that's a big key in life in general. Staying relaxed, or try to not let emotions take over.
Yeah.
Well, one of the great things. All right, yeah.
You're great.
Let's get to excited. Hey, Sauce, come here, buddy.
You're listening to the Daily BM.
Hey, but speaking of that, just staying relaxed. It's funny because this morning we did our ice bath, right? So I drove over to Mike's house. Yeah, so I go over to Mike's, and I get out of the car. Mike's like, "Hey, bro." I go, "What's up, man?" I literally just took my shirt off, took my shoes off, and just walked right in and got in. And he goes, "Well, all right then." He goes, "I guess you're just getting right in the bitch today." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude. I was just I didn't want to build up anxiety. I just wanted to get there and just jump in and just be relaxed and control the breathing, and got right through it." And then it went about 3 minutes, and then Mike got in it right after me, and he put on his Russian hat. That is hilarious, by the way. He puts on this Russian hat, dude. It just sits there in this thing.
Is that a mental thing for you? What's the point of the Russian hat?
I just thought it'd be funny for pictures.
Okay, there you go.
Literally, that's it. That was it.
I
just thought it'd be.
Hey, doing it for the gram is a perfect answer.
I bought that hat. Oh my God. I want to say it's got to be at least 25 years ago at like one of my buddy's bachelor parties out in Utah. Like we were just out snow skiing and I went into the shop and it was just there. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I've had it and I've never known what to do with it. 'Cause it's not something you can just like wear like anywhere. You know what I mean? So I was like,
especially in Florida.
this is perfect. Like this is perfect for a collar plunge. So yeah, it's just a novelty piece, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of it. It also kind of has the mindset. I mean, I don't know if you can see, but there's the picture of it.
Oh yeah, that's a solid look, dude.
Yeah,
that's a great picture. And you could say this is Ulav from Russia.
From Russia, yeah.
His name is Ogre, and he's from the motherland of Russia. It's the way he is. He was going to drink a little vodka while he did it, but he decided he didn't want to be a pussy. Just do it.
He's soaking in frozen vodka. That's what
exactly.
it is.
Yeah. So we did. Yeah. So that's something that we took back from Uprising that we pretty much implemented almost immediately as soon as we got back was the collar plunges. So
nice,
I just got a chiller unit that showed up a day before yesterday. So we tried that this morning and it worked pretty good. They brought it down pretty decent and.
Yeah, build
it out.
I won't say it's one of the top priorities in health and fitness. But it's a useful tool for sure.
Yeah.
And Brad, you nailed it. Like, if you're going to do it, don't think about it. Like, you have to just get in. The standing in front of that barrel, the tub, whatever it is you're doing, it's the worst fucking thing in the world. Worse than being in there. It 100% is. Every time I do it. I hate getting in there, getting out.
In there, great.
Yeah, getting out.
Yeah.
The first 30 seconds, every cell in your body is screaming. Yeah,
yeah.
But then once I get out, I feel phenomenal. I feel 10, 15 years younger. My old injuries don't hurt. I sleep like a fucking baby. It's. I love it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, it's definitely that was a life-changing addition to the recovery and the fitness part. I mean. One of the biggest mistakes that I've made over the years is not taking recovery seriously and not taking rest seriously. And I believe that's where I've failed myself the most because that's what's led up to the injuries. And then the injuries has got me out of the workout cycle and the fitness cycle and the depression and all the stuff that comes with the injuries.
Yeah, man.
And by not taking the time to rest and recover appropriately, I really did a lot of mistakes on that part.
So for you just reminded me of like a big part of the reason why I am a trainer, coach. Whatever, I don't care about titles, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah,
not Brad, not whatever you want to call me because I know you'll go off the rails. But
let me take notes.
So when I got out of the Marines in 2000, like. My body was beat up, right? I was, in my early 20s, and I couldn't run 50 yards without my knees just feeling like they were going to explode.
Right.
So I kind of had, resigned to. Well, first when I got out, I for the first time in my life didn't have anybody really holding me accountable to any kind of exercise. It was. Going to college and hanging out with that type of crew, right? So the partying side elevated, the exercise side stopped. I put on a lot of weight when I first got out of the Marines in the first couple of months. I saw this picture of myself. Again, a couple of years ago, I had to get the picture developed. It wasn't like you took the picture and instantly saw it, right? I don't know if you guys remember that. Do you?
I do.
Yeah. So
really?
Got that.
Brad remembers having to stand there for 45 minutes waiting for it to develop while I was taking the photo.
That's right.
Hey, that is true. I have, asshole. But anyway, go ahead.
So, but getting that picture, flipping through those pictures and seeing the this guy with this huge gut wearing a crazy hat like I did for this party we had, pouring beer out of a keg. I was like, who the hell is that fat ass? Right. And I was like, oh my God. Right. So I went and joined the gym the next day. But again, couldn't thought I couldn't squat, couldn't run, couldn't do any of that. So at like 23 years old, I'd resigned to being the guy who does upper body and then spends time on the elliptical on the bike for cardio, right? And there was a trainer at that gym. His name was Alex, and he came from a Marine Corps family, and asked him to spot me one day on bench press. And, we got to talking. He started asking me about, my enlistment and deployments and all that good stuff. And, got to sharing like, I can't squat anymore, so I do, upper body. And he was like, okay. It started asking me qualifying questions. When does it hurt? Right. When does it not hurt? Does it hurt? What type of movements, blah, blah, blah. At what point in your squat does it hurt? And then he asked this key question, which I never even thought of, was, do you want to be able to run again? And I was like, yeah, I mean, that would be great, but that's not possible. And he was like, look, it is. So I think, he kind of took care of me, maybe gave me some price breaks, stuff like that. But I worked with him over the next couple of months. And then 3-4 months later, not pain-free yet at that point, but I could run 3 miles. So this guy, Alex, taught me about the concept of exercise as a regenerative therapy to help to increase your body's capabilities, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, this is just mind-blowing, right? That you can use squat pattern, the hinge pattern, deadlifts, lunges to increase your body's ability to recondition joints, and to get stronger overall, to make you a better runner too. It was the first time anybody told me about like using strength training, resistance training to make you a better runner, right? So I started asking like, how do I do this? Like, this is literally life-changing. This is what I want to do. So he told me about some certifications that were out there at the time, and I got that, and that's kind of how I got into how I got into personal training. So it's, when you talk about like an injury knocking you off track, what you said earlier about like when we were doing the jiu-jitsu stuff and not wanting to get injured, right? We were in there to learn, and there was a competitive side to it as well. Yeah. But we need more 20-year-olds working out like they're 40 and less 40-year-olds working out like they're 20, right? Right. So if you are dealing with an injury, which at our age, what guy isn't dealing with some sort of ache, pain, or something like that, you basically have to think about what is your trainable menu, right? So, I mean, you guys know about my accident. After that, I couldn't stand, right? My leg felt like it was going to explode at certain points. So I had to really focus on, that's where I seriously got it. I'd been doing ice baths for a few years before that, where I seriously got into them as a regenerative therapy or recovery therapy. And so it's, what is your trainable menu? What can you do now to, over time, help increase your body's ability so you can do more later? Not how much of my ass can I kick in this hour, right? Right. That may be helpful when you're in a competitive side, but hopefully you're kicking somebody else's ass, right? But in the training side, in the strength and conditioning, what I always like to say, get strong and do stuff. That's strength and conditioning for the everyday athlete. That's how you want to approach your health and fitness program. And I know I went off in a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, that's
fantastic.
That's perfect.
Yeah, because I've never thought about that way either. Trainable menu. That's a really, you should trademark that if you haven't, or copyright
I stole that from a guy named Tony Gentlecore, who's out of Boston, and he credits it to somebody else. I can't remember.
Oh man, because that's like a whole new way of thinking about it. Like what are you able to do that progresses you forward, not trying to do things that are making you worse.
And I'll spell it out as easily as I can for you here, right? Squat, hinge, push, pull, lunge, right? So if you think about those 5 basic movement patterns, and you can combine them, like a thruster is a squat and push, right? So squat, hinge, push, pull, and lunge. You work in those movement patterns with resistance that is within your capabilities, so your form doesn't break. Form is any movement that's unintentional. And I may be getting a bit in the weeds here. You guys can tell me to shut the fuck up.
No, you're good.
No, dude, seriously, I'm sure everybody's also.
You work within that range of motion. So, Brad, if I can use you for an example, when we first got out there, you were much like I was, in the story I just told you about. You were saying, I can't squat. And I said, okay, try this. And we worked on just a few key things to improve your squat pattern. Your body didn't want to squat, going the very scientific route here, right? Your body didn't want to squat in the way you were doing it. And it was letting you know that, right?
Yeah.
So your body speaks a language. You can think about me as an interpreter. What is your body telling you? What can we change? You can tell your body, we need to be able to do this movement. And then you increase that ability over time, right? We made a few changes and you went from not being able to squat because of pain to being able to squat almost all the way down. And I don't know if you were pain-free or it lessened it, right? But we were able to get some stuff done there.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was pretty much almost pain-free with it, just from the simple fact of driving through the heel, turning the toes slightly outward, you know what I mean, to make that difference in my squat. Keeping form, obviously, was important too, because I was leaning a little forward. You were like, hey, you know what I mean, not so much. So I've used that coming in, and I still do leg routines, even though I have a torn meniscus right now, because of just that simple change that I wasn't able to do until comfortably, like you said, until uprising and, having you give me that knowledge. So yeah.
Nice,
100%. Yeah. Seriously, it was a game changer for me. Yeah. It was a game changer for me because I was scared to do it because I was like, hey man, I can feel that. And I'm like, and then of course, I was bouncing off of Mike, who had an injury like a year ago, maybe even longer. I'm not sure, Mike, but
yeah. It was 2 years ago.
And I saw what he went through on the recovery, which he still hasn't 100% recovered on yet, but he's doing a hell of a lot better.
It still haunts me.
Yeah, it still haunts him, but he's doing a hell of a lot better. And I just so in my psyche, it was just like, oh man, I don't want to turn into that shit. I better not do this. You know what I mean? My body's telling me that, like you said.
Well, that kind of mindset is really important as well. So I think we may have talked about this, but after my accident, there was a point, when I was in the ICU, one of the nurses in there was a member at one of the gyms that I coached at. So there was a little bit of talk about the day before, for your audience, in 2017, I was pinned between two cars by an intoxicated driver. The back of my Jeep and the front of his truck crushed my right leg. The day before that, I was squatting 405. I had turned 40 3 months before that and was, keeping up with the 20-year-olds, the guys half my age in these gyms I was coaching at. So on the ICU floor, there was some talk about, this guy was coached, he's in great shape. It's sad to see that. So this doctor comes in and she said, Mr. Mancini, the accident you were in would have taken some people's legs. Most people would have had a break. Strength training increases bone density. So I had 3 severe bone bruises, but no breaks in the leg.
Wow.
And I still have the rear bumper from my Jeep that's got my leg print in it. So I keep it because I'm pretty proud of that. But she said, so you fared well in this accident because of your exercise and conditioning history, but you need to understand those days are behind you. And I understand her intent. Maybe she was trying to help me, accept where I was, but I was like, I was squatting over 400 before. I'm going to get back to that. So I told her, who's in charge of my care? And the look on her face instantly told me she thought I was asking, where's the man in charge? And so I get her, perspective and why she was upset. She was, if somebody said that to a doctor, I get it. But she goes, I'm in charge. Yeah. You okay with that? I said, no, you're not. You're a consultant. I'm in charge of my healthcare. I will squat 405 again. Right. Because I needed to make that statement of, I don't know how it's going to happen. Right. But it's going to happen. So, and then 16 months later, I was able to get back to that. So Brad, having that thing of that mindset you were just talking about of, I'm going to make this happen. Right. That, Mike, you talked about the concept of the trainable menu and understanding that and how that's important. That needs to pair with the belief that you can do stuff. Right. So when I say get strong and do stuff or get strong and do shit, depending on who I'm talking to, right? You need to believe you can do that. Mm-hmm. And then the get strong is the literal and the figurative, like get strong and do stuff. And then you do stuff and you get strong. right? And you build belief in yourself that way.
Yeah,
so it's important to have both sides of those.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest lesson that I've probably learned is, I kind of grew up in a household where like medical professionals were seen as a very high regard and like they're the end all be all. So, when I went to my orthopedic surgeon for my knees and they said, hey, you're not going to be able to run anymore. You need to stop running because you got arthritis and you got some degeneration and stuff like that. You're going to need a full knee replacement before too long. I took it to heart. It kind of like just completely demotivated me. And it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is where I'm at. And then, I went to when I had my shoulder problem and my neck spine issue, and I went to the doctor and they're like, yeah, we really can't. It's not bad enough for your insurance to cover surgery. We could put you on pain meds, and this is going to be your life until it degenerates enough to the point where you can get surgery. Then, this is where you're at. And at that point, I was like, no, I'm not doing this, and that's when I started looking really outside of the medical profession. And I went from, not being able to really move to like being able to like wrestle you for 3 minutes and not completely dying, so it was a long road, but it all started in that, like you said, mindset. And it was sad because the medical profession was like, let's keep me in the bubble, like keep me in the pay plan, and on the pills and on the Band-Aids.
Yeah.
And it sucks because that is, now it's totally different, like
it's doctors know medicine, right?
Yeah.
And when I had that accident, like I didn't want to go to a trainer, right? Yeah. My leg was crushed. I needed a doctor.
Yeah.
But they don't know nutrition. Doctors know medicine. They know illness. They know injury. Okay. And they know how to, we did some CPR and first aid out there, right?
Yep.
Stop the bleeding, right? Support life, get the blood flowing, get the breathing going, right?
Right.
That's medical stuff.
Yeah.
When you're dying, stop death from happening.
Yep.
But they don't know, like, getting your life going. That's a completely different. And I'll give it. So I want to stress there. I'm not saying doctors aren't important, right? They have their place.
Yeah.
A lot of times, people love to point at trainers in the coaching industry and say, "Stay in your lane." Okay, cool. You too, right? So
yeah, you too.
So I'll give you a quick story. Actually, I can go off on this with a couple stories. One, someone very, very important in my life, someone close to me, was dealing with some neurodegeneration. And she did not have the best nutrition habits. And I'll put it to you this way. She would go to Sonic, pull up to the drive-through, and give her name. We'll call her Betty Lou. She would say, "This is Betty Lou." And they would go, "Okay." And they would know her order. Right? So and it was at least once a day. And so Jesus. I told her, I was like, "Look, you write down for a week everything you eat, as detailed as you can be. Take that to your doctor." And she did. And she goes, "What should I change here?" And her doctor said, "That's got nothing to do with this." And I was furious, right? We got her with a different doctor. Things are looking better. Big nutrition changes are happening, right? Now, another one, my mom's story. I think we talked about this. So my mom had worked in advertising sales for 25 years. And she was amazing at what she did. So Clipper Magazine, if you guys are familiar with that, it's like ad pages. Yep. So she would go into businesses and help grow their business, sometimes by like 25% or more. And 80% of her customers were restaurants. So for 25 years, she was blowing up the business at all these local restaurants. Now, if I increase your business by 25% or more, you may not charge me. So she would eat sometimes for free at all these local businesses as much as she wanted to. We figured out over the course of that time period, she had less than 500 meals that were home cooked because she was living up in Pittsburgh. You know, I'm down in Texas. My brother's in North Carolina. My sister's in Ohio. Right. You know, you guys have heard me say you don't have a support system. You are part of a support system. Right.
Right.
And her support system at that time I mean, she doesn't care. We share this. She was a functional alcoholic at that point. Right. So that was who she was hanging out with. Her health went to shit. So she retired in July of 2021. 3 weeks later, her mom, my grandmother, who was in incredible shape, she had worked with a personal trainer into her 80s before she was went into the retirement community. She was working with Meals on Wheels into her 80s. So delivering food to people 20 years younger than her who didn't have the ability to get up and move around, right? She was just when I was a kid, whenever we would go to dinner at her place, it was always chicken and veggies. Like she epitomized health and fitness. So when she passed, my mom, I remember being on the phone with her at one point. She's like, "What do I do now? There's nothing left for me in this town." And so I said, "Okay." We kind of talked about the idea of what if you moved down here with us?
Yeah.
You'd be professional grandma. Right. And so she did. We were going to try it out for 2 months. In the first 30 days, she lost 30 pounds because she went from eating whatever the hell she wanted, as much as she wanted, drinking as much as she wanted, in this circle of people who would make jokes about their health. I guess I'm just fat. Right. To coming down here, a completely different environment. We were focused on health and fitness. Her job was to be professional grandma, as rewarding as it gets, eating only the food that my wife cooks, right? And I had her walking every day and doing a basic strength routine, very basic. 30 pounds in 30 days. Over the first 60, she lost 48 pounds total. When she went back to she was like, "I'm in. We're doing this." When she went back to close out everything back home, she was, doing the checkout with her doctor, who she'd been with for like 30 years. He said, "Kathy, he decreased her med load by 60%. And he said, "Kathy, if I hadn't seen this with my own two eyes, I would not have thought it were possible." And I said, "Mom, does that sound like somebody you should take health and fitness advice from?" Right. And she was like, "Well, I never thought about it that way." So again, doctors are important when the right time comes.
Yeah.
But I have more formal nutrition education than is required to be a doctor, and you guys may too, because it only requires 4 hours of nutrition education to be a doctor, right? They don't know nutrition. They don't understand the power of nutrition. Most of them. There are exceptions out there.
Yeah.
Again, I want to stress, I'm not saying they're not important, right? Because you can cut plenty of clips out of what I just said, and Brandon says there shouldn't be doctors. Whatever.
No.
But yeah.
No, doctors have their place, but like I had a doctor too, and I ended up firing him because I realized he was not good for my overall health because, this was probably 2018. I went and got my labs and I was like, borderline pre-diabetic. Like I came in at like 105 fasted, which was not good. My cholesterol was high. My blood pressure was going up. All my markers are bad. And I said, "Hey, what can I do?" And the doctor said, "Look at me." He's like, "You're 40. Like, this is normal. Like, this is just life. Like, everybody's stuff goes up." And I was like, I left there going, okay. And I felt better because I was crappy. But then I was like, this can't be normal. Like, this isn't right, And it took me like 4 more years to figure out, like, okay, this guy's not the doctor for me because he just wants to prescribe medication to treat the symptoms, not fix the problem, which is diet. Like my wife, she started watching what she's eating, because she's finally catching on to my trend, and she cut sugars out, just refined sugars. And she's like, "I don't have like aches and pains anymore. Like, my joints don't hurt." And then the other day she had a slice of cheesecake at a party. And that night, like, all of her joints hurt. Like, they'd all came back. Like, she was like, "My joints are killing me. Like, I don't know what is a weather." I was like, "No, you had cheesecake, had tons of sugar in it. You flooded your system again." I mean, that's
another reason why tracking can be important, right? Because you can look at hey, I'm feeling good. What have I done in the last 24, 48 hours? Right. Because there's such a thing as mindless eating as well. You know, you may eat that piece of cheesecake, enjoy it in that moment, and then completely forget about it. Next day you wake up, like, why am I aching? Oh,
How many times have we done that, Mike?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
So, and
all the time.
You know, I'm not saying not to ever do that.
No,
right? Because it's people think health and fitness, it's about sacrifice. No, it's about getting more out of life.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm turning 47 next month. And, you know, I make the joke that I'm not old, but the people I went to high school with sure are, right?
Yeah.
But I'm able to do a lot more than most people my age. So most people have my age. And people, you're braggadocious. I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's about getting more out of life, not less.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
you have to suffer through some hard work, but
Yeah, I look at my neighbor. He's 82, and every day he's out there, like, you know, moving around his yard, you know, taking care of his goats, and he works out every single day. I mean, now it's the point where his workouts consist of, like, he climbs the stairs 20 times. He does squats, you know, he does lightweight dumbbells. He gets on his treadmill, he walks, but it's just like basically mobility and core. But he's 81 years old, and he's like, we were outside talking. He's like, you know, it's depressing when I go to my high school reunions now, because he said he's got one coming up. He's like, most of the people in my class are wheelchair bound. Most of them can't walk; they're in walkers, you know, and he's strolling around, you know, and he's still strong because he's every day he's working on his fitness at that level. Like, he's not out there trying to bench, you know, like 405 or anything, or squat 405 and stuff like that anymore, because he knows that's no longer his goal. His goal is not to fall down and get hurt, you know, and be able to be mobile.
Bingo.
Functional fitness, like you're talking about. Like, you know,
I'm not doing that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not under a barbell every day, you know, even every week anymore. Right. It's, but even pursuing that, it's not. Barbell is a great expression of strength, but for development, and it can be a useful tool for that as well. But I mean, calisthenics are useful. Dumbbells, kettlebells, all this stuff is useful there, and there's no one tool that is sacrosanct that you have to incorporate. But you have to do something. No. Let me back up. There is one tool you have to incorporate: your fucking body. Like, that's the thing you have to use. Yeah. Right. If you don't use it, you lose it.
I think one of the things you said to me too in the ride back from one of the, I think it was from the shooting range when we went into shooting, that really resonated. And it was your principle of there's 3 reasons why you do fitness. So I don't know if you could take a moment and explain that, like the 3 reasons, the aesthetic and the
3 types of goals. Yeah. So, and I did a reel about this yesterday. Yeah. So the first one, and it's the most common one. And when I was younger, I used to say, oh, you don't need that, but it is okay to have the aesthetic goal, the look. Right. I want a 6-pack. I want this person's arms. I want this person's legs. I want this person's butt is, one that we hear a lot from the ladies. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to have that goal. That you want a certain look.
Right.
But it becomes more of a side effect when you get the other 2 goals. And I will also say, if the aesthetic goal is the only goal you have, I've been doing this for over 20 years. You're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because that goal's intangible. Other people see aesthetic results before you do. Right? You see your body all day, every day. So the people you see every once a week, right? Maybe twice a week, they're going to notice it first. And even when they say, oh man, you're looking great, you're looking lean, like, you're going to be like, they know I'm working out there trying to motivate me. Right?
100%.
Yep. And then at some point you're getting out of the shower, or you're putting on a pair of pants you haven't worn in a while or whatever. And you see yourself in the mirror, you go, oh man, I do see results. But it takes a while it can be a couple weeks to get there. Like 4 to 6 weeks is generally what I see in people noticing those aesthetic changes. Mm-hmm. So the aesthetic goal is one. Now we go to the other end of the spectrum, and I call it the lifestyle or the lifetime or the legacy goal.
Right.
And that is, what type of old person do you want to be? And when I've long had this concept. When I was first starting out as a trainer, I remember one of my managers shadowing me in a consultation. And when we got to goals, I asked that, what type of old person do you want to be? And like afterward, he'd like put me aside, you can't ask that. People don't want to think of themselves as old. But let's be fucking clear about something. Getting old is the best thing that can happen to you. Because what's the alternative?
You're dead.
You're dead. Right? So kind of realizing that and designing like, what type of old person do I want to be? And let me also be clear that nothing's guaranteed, man. Right. I could get pinned between two trucks again, and maybe this time they get me, right? So nothing's guaranteed. But I've already proven living this way makes you more resilient against that, right?
I like to say it ups your odds.
It ups your odds. Yeah. There you go. That's a great way to say it, right? So the lifetime legacy goal, I will tell you, mine is, I have a 5-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter. When they are around 20 years old, I'll be in my 60s. And at that time, I want to go on an adventure trip of their choosing. Skydiving, bungee jumping, hike the Appalachian Trail, the Grand Canyon, Kilimanjaro, whatever they choose, we're going to go do that. In order to do that, I can't wait till 6 weeks before or do a 90-day challenge to get ready for that. I mean, I can, but I'm going to fare it best if I'm working now to be in shape, right? So that's the second type. But then that's kind of intangible as well, because, again, it might not happen, but I can work to up my odds to that it will, right? But it's intangible. It's far out there. So the most important goal, the third type, is the empowering goal. So what skill, sport, activity, thing do you enjoy doing, or you think you would enjoy doing that you've never done before, that you want to get better at or just start, right? Obstacle course racing is really popular. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, any type of fight discipline. The great example I always like to use of this is, I had this lady years ago that I trained. She was a widow. Her husband had passed away 10 years prior to when we met. And when he was alive, they would do ballroom dancing. When he passed, she stopped doing it and stopped being active altogether. And her health had deteriorated. And she was like, I want to feel that again. So she asked, is there anything you can do to help me? Absolutely. That's strength and conditioning is every sport has a strength conditioning, program.
Component.
Right. Component. Thank you. So I took her through basic strength conditioning, and she was apprehensive at first. She was like, is this really going to help? After the second week, she felt herself more capable on the dance floor, right? She'd been trying dance for a few weeks before that. And in 2 weeks, she was like, this is working. So that kept her going because she was enjoying her life more. She was living her younger years, right? That's the power of an empowering goal. That's the one that keeps you on track. It's important to have all three of those because, let's say she does ballroom dancing for wins a couple of awards, and then maybe she's like, I'm tired of it, because that happens too.
Yeah.
Well, what's next? Well, your lifetime, your legacy goal can help you get what's next. And then the aesthetic goal, that becomes a side effect.
Right.
Right. So
what you just went through helped me reframe my thought process too, because, the car ride the whole time, it was just like, I want to look fit. I want to look healthy. Like I want, I wasn't necessarily a six pack. I just don't want to look fat. But the problem with that is it's, you don't see the change. You really don't even see it. Like I've gone from like a size 44 pants down to a 34. And in my mind, when I look in the mirror, I still don't see it, And I don't know when the day will come when I see it, but I would have given up a long time ago if I'd have just been relying on that one aspect. But when you said legacy, like what kind of old person you want to be, and then, I want to be able to like not worry about having to fall down and hurt myself, or I want to
be like your neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be able to squat down and pick things up in my 80s. I don't want to be, rolling around in a wheelchair. I don't want to be in a walker because, my dad, he was in pretty bad shape, and in his 80s, he was not able to move around at all. Like hardly at all. And it was all lifestyle and diet. It had nothing to do with his genetics because his genetics were good. His parents lived in their 90s and stuff like that. And so it's definitely just lifestyle fitness. And then the last one was finding something that you want to work towards, so like I'm training towards like racing and a Spartan race. And that's kind of like motivating me to go because it's like, I want to be able to do this. And it's like giving me something fun to work towards as opposed to just like, I want to look good. I want to look better in this clothes. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. I was going to add on to that legacy thing. It's funny because my dad is 86 years old. Okay. He's still living. He's, and I remember he was starting to like make excuses of not like getting up and moving around and things like that. And I stole one kind of from Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption. I kind of reworded it a little bit. I said, you either get busy moving or you get busy dying. I remember telling him that straight to his face about a year and a half ago. And he just looked at me because he was wanting me to do everything for him. And I was like, Dad, you at least got to get up and make attempts. I know you're 84, 85 years old, but you got to do it because the minute you stop moving, you're getting yourself closer to that brown box. Yeah, so that's just the facts. I was like, I'm just speaking the truth. Yeah. So, he's still going on vacations. They still are walking, when they get tired, my sister, then we put him in a wheelchair and just, when he's worn out, because he's 86, man, he's earned it. That's the way I look at it. But I'm like, he's at least trying to still move. And I absolutely refuse to do shit for him that I know he can do. And he's just trying to pawn it off because I want him to get out of that chair and get up. Grab a light bulb for me, do this, do that. At least he's moving. So I said, my goal is, because I know what his goal was. It was to outlive his dad, which he did by 4 years already. So my goal is to outlive my dad by 4 to 5 years or longer. If I'm, if I'm lucky enough to get over 100, hell, I'll live to 100, but you're so right, man. It takes all three of those together to get there.
And back to the mindset piece, Mike, you said something about how that helped you reframe, and I wrote this down. So it's you, before you had this concept of reducing yourself from an external perspective, right?
Yep.
Where now you have the mindset of increasing yourself from an internal perspective.
Right.
I'm capable of more. I can do more put more out into the world instead of I need to lessen myself. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's 100%. Where I said like that aesthetic goal becomes a side effect.
Yep.
Good job, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm not even like so much worried anymore about the aesthetics portion of it. Like I want to be able to perform the movements, the pull-ups and the grip strength and all the things that are required to do the races. And like you said, as a side effect, the other stuff will just come, the aesthetics, because it's like, I'm losing weight because it's easier for me to do pull-ups at 205 than it is at 225. So if I lose 20 pounds, that's 20 pounds less I have to lift. So that's the motivation. Not I need to lose 20 pounds to look better. It's like I want to lose 20 pounds to be able to have less to lift.
And when you're in shape like that, you learn about nutrition and how nutrition and activity and exercise work together. So if you wanted to get a 6-pack, you could do it in like 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
So
that's what I've started to see. That it's more like you start to learn the science, you start to learn your body, and then you can just implement it. You know what to do because you've taken the time to learn it. I think that's what I really like about the long road. Because there's a lot of people that are out there like taking what is that semaglutide to lose weight. And the bad thing about that is because I've done like Adipex and stuff like that in the past because the doctors are like, oh, you want to lose weight? Here's a pill for it. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Like, here's a pill. Like, but the problem is it doesn't teach you the habits and you don't learn your body. You don't learn your body because you don't know because what I found is like what works for like one person may not work for you at all because your body responds differently to those macros that you're taking in. Like some people like brown rice works really well for me. And I love brown rice and it helps me lose weight. Like with me, if I start eating too much brown rice, it messes up. I don't like it. It messes up my digestive tract. I
will also come back to mindset with that as well, because you have to Man, I hope you guys have 3 hours because I'm about to go off here. You got we're very fortunate to live in an era where we have these therapies and medications available, right? Mm-hmm. So let me start with that. But as with anything, so after my accident, I went through all these different therapies. I was doing the ice baths and the red light therapy, physical therapy. Mm-hmm. You have to meet the medicine halfway.
Yep.
Right. You can't just take the pill, take the shot, whatever it is, and that's going to take care of me now. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to meet the medicine halfway, whatever it is the first part. So 1A, or that's 1A, 1B, you have those medicines are definitely overprescribed. Mm-hmm. They are. I think you should start with the habits, the activities, the nutrition stuff, and see where that can get you, and then look to those medicines and therapies to help from there. Yeah. I'm going to condense it. I'm not going to go off.
So, Brandon, what I would like to do before because we're just about almost out of time, but what I want to do is bring you back on for a whole nother segment talking about nutrition and medications and things of that nature. If you're open to come back on the show again, hopefully you will.
Sure. I mean, never mind. I was going to make.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I don't have. Look, here's the thing. I am a comedian at heart, but I'm not very funny. So I'm a personal trainer, so I can make money.
I beg to differ, man. You had me laughing a bunch when we were up at Uprising, but anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know Mike. Was glad you were here too. We really appreciate that, and I think it's a very valuable and strong message that needs to be told more because it's not something that we're getting enough of today.
Yeah, well, I'd love to
come holistic approach
for your guys listeners. I do have a newsletter I just started. If you go to bmfcoaching.com, you can download an ebook I just released and get on board with my newsletter and get information each week that I'm sending out. So yeah.
Hey, Brandon, I'll tell you what, why don't you do this too? When you put a story up on Instagram or, any socials, let me know and I'll make sure I'll repost them on your behalf too, out to our people as well. Sound like a plan?
Thanks, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, thanks again, Brandon, for coming. Appreciate it. And we'll have you back in and we'll get you scheduled. Oh, yeah, you got one more thing?
Hey, when is this podcast coming out?
We will be coming out probably tomorrow.
Okay.
So
solid.
Yep.
So I'm launching an online group for nutrition and fitness later this month. So it's going to be going through the summer to help people get on board with strength and nutrition guidance and lifestyle overall. So yeah, if people are interested,
we'll definitely be sharing that out to our people as well.
Awesome.
So just like I said, man, we'll work with you hand in hand. No big deal because we really think highly of you. With that, guys, don't forget, head over to thedailybm.com where you can follow us on all of our socials. You can also see us on YouTube, and you can see old Wolverine Brandon here on Rumble as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe over there. Mikey, you got anything before we get out of here?
Hey, everybody out there, just go out there and live your best life and get ready for this awesome weekend. Brad and I got a 5K coming up on a Saturday, so we're excited about that.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get it on.
It's going to be a good time.
That's right.
Good shit,
Brandon,
fellas.
Thanks again, brother. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
All right, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.